Hi, my name is Em and welcome back to my channel. Or maybe this is your first time here because maybe you've just purchased my Give Us a Twirl pattern. So exciting. So this is my second ever sewing pattern. It is indeed the skirt that I'm wearing right now. So I've decided to make a video tutorial just because personally I'm a visual learner and having a video to follow along with whilst reading the instructions is personally, for me, very useful. So hopefully you find it useful. I'm just going to take you through what you'll need for this pattern. So you'll need your basics like your fabric scissors, seam rippers, just in case, bobbin thread, normal thread, shearing thread. There's a sheared panel in the back of the waistband for this skirt, which just helps it give it a bit more shape. Non-fabric scissors to cut your paper pattern out if you're cutting it out. Tape measure, always useful to have. Pins, a zip, and some elastic. Just note, don't cut this elastic to size until it says so in the instructions. Some tailor's chalk or fabric marker. Obviously you'll need some fabric of your choice and your pattern. Advise just printing out the first page first to test the scaling squares to make sure that the pattern size is correct. If it's not correct, then your whole pattern will be off scale and the sizing won't be correct. So that's 2 inches and that's 5 centimeters. Perfect. Okay, I've roughly laid out my pattern. I only printed out to the mini side because I just didn't need, obviously, the longer one. I'm now going to make sure it's accurately lined up using these grey circles in each corner, aligning them like so. This just makes sure that your pattern's laid out accurately. I will tape them together and then cut them out, and then I'm going to cut my pieces out. Also, just to note, to save you guys paper, I've done the front and the back skirt panels in one piece, so they are labelled front and back skirt. They're pieces 4 and 5, so front is 4, back is 5, and it's just noted to cut 2 on the fold. I forgot to check in, I've cut out most of my pieces, so you should have 2 skirt pieces, 4 back waistband pieces, 2 front waistband pieces, and 1 shearing panel. Around the edges of all my pieces and my projects when I do them. This is just a preference, but there are instructions of where to do so in the pattern, so you don't have to worry if you don't like doing it at the start. Or if you don't have an overlocker, I have added in ways that you can hide your raw edges. Okay, so we're gonna start by preparing the shearing panel. You're going to need your elastic, your shearing elastic, and normal thread for this. So I'm going to overlock each edge of this piece. If you don't have an overlocker, just finish the sides with a zigzag stitch, and then we will create a rolled hem on both top and bottom edges. Okay, so you're going to start by creating the elastic casing. So take the top edge of your piece, fold it over by 0.5 centimeters or 1/4 inches and press. Once you've done that, you are then going to fold it again 1.5 centimeters. So it will look like that, and I will just press this down now. Once you have pressed it, you are going to secure the elastic casing down, sewing along the very edge so that you can slot the elastic in above it. After you've done that and threaded through your elastic, you are going to secure the elastic down on one end. So I'm just going to secure with a stitch along the end here so that the elastic doesn't come out whilst you're shearing. And now it is secured into my panel. So if you don't have an overlocker and you want to finish the raw edge on the bottom of the shirring panel before you start shearing, which I would recommend, as after you've sheared it gets quite bunched up and tricky to handle. Fold over the hem 0.5 centimeters or 1/4 inch and press. Fold it over again another 0.5 centimeters and press and sew it down. Then you're ready to start shearing. So a tip when shearing is to hand wind your bobbin. It means that you then don't stretch the shearing elastic. Make sure that your machine stitch length is on the highest, so mine's on 4, and the tension is on about 4 or 5. This will help to create nice gathers in the shearing. Sew your shearing lines about 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch apart. If you are sewing on fabric like mine that's plain, I find it easier to make guidelines with chalk. So do that so they keep neat. But if you're gonna wing it, go for it. No judgment here. Okay, so here is what my shearing panel looks like. For the elastic, take a look at the fabric requirement chart, and your particular size will have an elastic width or length next to it. Measure your elastic according to that length, secure it down, and then trim the excess. Moving on to, you are going to assemble the back waistband panels, so pieces 2. Going to place them on top of each other, right sides facing each other, and pin along the top like so. You are going to sew these pieces together along the top. It should then look like this. I'm going to fold it inside out and press along the seam here. Do the same for your other 2 back panels. Once you have pressed down the middle, you can then put these pieces aside and grab the front waistband pieces 3. So you should have 2 of these, and using the same process, right sides facing each other, pin the pieces together along the top. Secure these 2 pieces together using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Like you did before with the back panels, press down these seams in the middle here. And it then should look like this. I'm going to prepare both of your back waistband piece 2 to add your shearing panel into. You are going to press a 1 centimeter hem into the end or the straight piece on these panels, folding wrong sides together. It will then look like this. You are then going to turn it round the correct way and press it down so it sits nice and flat. It will then look like this, so you have your folded edges on the inside. Moving on, you're going to grab your front panel waistband and turn it with the right side facing up, and then grab one of your back waistband panels and put it right sides facing each other and align it with the edge of the back waistband to the edge of the front waistband. Pin them down and sew along. It will then look like this. You are then going to turn it around the correct way, so right sides facing each other, and press all of the seams flat. Now you've already prepared your back waistband for shearing, so you are going to grab your shearing panel and add it in. Already added in one back waistband panel to the shearing panel. Add in the shearing panel about 1 centimeter into the waistband and pin it down close to the back waistband edge. And then you are going to stitch down the edge. Once you have sewn in both back waistbands, it should then look like this. We're now going to move on to inserting the zip. As you can see, I've already done one side here. You're going to prepare your front waistband for the zip in the same way that you did for your back waistband on the shearing panel. So you're going to press a 1 centimeter hem into this side. Also do the same for the other back waistband, but I have already inserted the zip into this side. Once you have done that, you are then going to fold both the front waistband and the back waistband panel that you have sewn the correct way around, so wrong sides facing each other, and just press those two hems together you've created and the top of the waistband so that it all lies flat. If you have pressed it flat, you're going to bring both sides round together. Now I have actually chopped the top of this zip off just for ease, but normally the zip top edge will come out a bit further, so fold it round, or if it's too bulky you can also cut it off. There's no problem with doing that. So you are going to slot the zip in between the front waistband pieces. I prefer to do it with the zip open just because it's easier that way, but place the zip in the middle, almost like you're sandwiching the zip in between the two front waistband pieces, like so. And I'm just going to pin it down, and I'm just going to pin it into the middle, and I'll show you once I've done that. Once it is pinned in, it will then look like this. I'm going to sew along the edge to make sure the zip is sewn in. As you can see here, it is literally sandwiched in. So I'm going to use a zipper foot just to help me with accuracy, and I'll get back to you for the next step. You're probably thinking, why are you using a pink zip? It's because I had no other zips in my stash. And do you know what? Pop colour is a bit of fun. So it had to do. But now you will have a complete waistband. So let's move on to the skirt pieces. Jumped ahead and forgot. So that's why it's got markings on, but ignore those for now because you will come to them later down the line. But we're going to need to finish the waistband. So if you've overlocked your edges, it's fine to just leave it as it is and just stitch the front pieces together and the back waistband pieces together, just so they don't move around when you're adding on the skirt piece. But if you do just have raw edges, fold a 1 centimeter hem into both sides, so wrong sides will be facing each other, like so, and press them down. It should look like this, and the pressed pieces will meet in the middle. You're then gonna pin it along the whole edge and just do a straight stitch around the front and the back to secure it down. This helps it to stop moving when you're adding the skirt. Obviously, I've overlocked it, so I don't need to do that, but I was just showing it to you for reference. We're going to fold the top edge of your skirt piece 1 centimeter and press down all along the top for both the front and the back pieces. Once you have pressed that, you are then going to fold it again by 2 centimeters this time to create your rolled hem. So that is all pressed. I'm now just going to go across and add a few pins into the hem, just so that it remains in place for when I secure it down with a straight stitch. You are then going to sew along the bottom edge of the rolled hem. Make sure you leave a 5 centimeter or a 2-inch gap at the end of each side. So 2 to 5 centimeters gap will be to set yourself up for when you sew the skirt pieces together. Once you have done that to both skirt pieces, you are going to gather the pieces to create the ruffle. To sew 2 gathering stitches on the longest stitch length and lowest tension just underneath the rolled hem, and I'm going to do the gathering stitches about 0.5 centimeters or a 1/4 inch apart. Make sure to not back stitch either end and to leave lots of thread at both ends to pull on to create your gathers. So once you have created your gathering stitches on both pieces, you are going to pull the bobbin threads and pull the fabric down to create the gathers like so. Now I have created a skirt gathered measurements, so this will be the measurement that your gathered skirt needs to be to fit on your waistband. So for example, I'm doing a size 8, and the length of the front piece will need to be 54 centimeters. It doesn't matter which piece is your front piece or back piece because they're both cut exactly the same. Just remember which is the wider piece and which is a little bit shorter in width once you have gathered them. Once you have gathered both of your pieces, you are then going to place them right sides facing each other. An easy way to distinguish this is your rolled hem should be facing outwards on both sides, as you can see here. And you are going to pin together the edges of both skirts. So this is why leaving the 5 centimeters comes in really useful. So pin down the edge. So you basically just unfold it like so. I'll show you on the other side. You basically just, so the rolled hem, you unfold it so that it's straight. 5 centimeters or 2 inches is enough, I found. You fold it and just pin it like so. It shouldn't be too fiddly. Pin down both sides and then sew down. Once you have secured both edges, you will see that the 10 centimeters or 5 centimeters either side that you left would be sort of unrolled. So you're going to re-roll those hems and secure them. I'm just going to sew along there so it doesn't come undone or ruin the effect of the ruffle when you attach it to the waistband. Once you have secured those down, turn it the correct way around and grab your waistband. Now I'm going to make some markings with my tailor's chalk on the waistband just to mark the center, and quarter points on the waistband and on the gathered skirt to make it easier when I'm adding on the gathered skirt to the waistband. I'm going to start doing my marks from 4 centimeters. All those lines are marked on the front and the back. Basically, I just measured the width of the middle of the waistband, went middle, and then divided the either side measurements by 2, sorry. So then it would be split into 5 different points. All of the points start at 4 centimeters up from the waistband because this is the line that I want the top edge of the skirt to sit on. It means it will help me create the shape when going round, so I don't have to follow the waistband as such. It's already there for me. Just makes the job easier. I'm now going to make these same measurements on the top of the skirt, just so, again, I can just easily line them up and it should be an easy process when adding it onto the waistband. I've made my markings on my skirt piece now as well, so I'm going to line them up with the waistband. So the top edge needs to be at the bottom of the marking on the waistband. And I am going to pin it 2 centimeters down from the top edge of the skirt. Just to give you a close-up, it means it will look like this. So that's 2 centimeters down from the top edge, because this gap here, leaving this 2 centimeters, is what helps create the ruffle effect on the skirt. Okay, once it is all pinned on, you are going to sew, making sure you leave that 2 centimeter gap from the top edge of the skirt. Sew around to secure it on the waistband. That is all sewn on. Now I'm going to just quickly rub off the fabric chalk. If you want to, you can unpick your gathering stitches. They're not necessarily needed there now anymore, but because my thread really blends in with my material rather well, I won't be removing them. The phone thing just fell off the table and the microphone broke. Fabulous. Anyway, I have to sort that out later. Sorry if the audio is a bit bad now. Anyway, we're going to create the rolled hem. So you are going to fold over the bottom of the skirt by 1 centimetre and press this down all the way around. You are then gonna fold it again another centimetre and press down. I'm gonna do that and then come back to you. So I've pressed my rolled hem and I have just pinned it down. I'm now gonna secure it down around the whole edge of this skirt and then it will be done. And there we have it. The Give Us a Twirl skirt is done. I hope you found this tutorial really useful and helped you along the pattern instructions. Sometimes I think it's easier just to see it visually so you can follow along. If you bought my pattern, thank you so much. It honestly means so much. Just want to put out a quick thank you to all my testers. Honestly, the feedback they gave me, all the work that they put in, the sewing, the messages, they were all amazing and they just helped me out so much. So I actually can't thank them enough. So thanks again, thanks for watching. Let me know if it was useful. Let me know what you want to see next. Maybe some more patterns, if I have time. Here we go. Here is the final look, giving you a twirl.